Good evening and welcome to your community Rainier Avenue Radio platform. Juan Cotto technically here from the headquarters, 2916 Rainier Avenue South. We have some wonderful things here tonight, but we are so excited. Big day for me. My 18-year-old son Clemente, who many of you remember when I was doing these shows a couple over the last decade, I would be saying goodnight to him. He was a young man getting ready to go to bed. But now he's an 18-year-old. He casted his first ballot for election. So the times are moving and the young people are starting to make their mark in society, and all of the wisdom and education my wife and I have worked on. It was just wonderful to see him cast that ballot today. If you were watching earlier today on your community radio station, Tony B, the man who created the community campaign connection, and we certainly have been that at Rainier Avenue Radio for the last 2.5 months. He talked to Julie Wise, the elections director at King County today, and they were discussing some of the fancy new bells and whistles and toys that they play with the county elections, and we will have up-to-date information starting at 8 p.m. tonight. So we hope that we can sit down and discuss these campaigns with you, and we're very excited. We have people dropping by the studio. We have people who will be coming on and having conversations with us from different points of the city and different campaigns and candidates coming up over the next 2 hours to have conversations about this election. We're hearing news from the East Coast. It looks like the young man who has really captivated the country, Mondavi, is about 10 points up right now on Cuomo. So it looks like there's going to be what we call a Democratic socialist mayor in New York City, and I think we're all waiting on pins and needles to find out what's going to happen here in the city of Seattle tonight. And I bring in now Marvin Rosette, who has been with me on so many of these occasions and having conversations about these things. And obviously, the city of Seattle's got some interesting things going on in regards to this race. Very, very similar to I guess, a kind of philosophy and this conversation around these young candidates who are bringing this new energy. And it looks like one is getting elected in New York City, and then we'll find out in the jewel of the Pacific Northwest what happens tonight.
We're going to find out in Seattle. I know that the way that the Herald race is going to go on, I know that that's going to be. It's not just. I don't think it's going to be tight. I think you're going to see wider margins with Katie Wilson. I know that there's a lot of organization. Part of it is both criticism on both sides on whether or not Katie Wilson is qualified enough, if she has enough experience. Definitely a wonderful organizer. Definitely made an impact on local Seattle politics. And then you have, but the negatives on Bruce Harrell as well. Long time beloved city council member. And some would even say a very effective mayor, doing what he had promised, saying cleaning up the streets, making Seattle better. From that point of view, but now it's about job performance. Will the citizens of Seattle want to give him 4 more years to continue the work, and will he be able to define what that work is in the next 4 years?
Back in early August, the primary election, I guess it was a surprise and maybe a shock to a lot of people, similar to Mondavi in New York.
Right.
We had a number of races that were not close, by the way, Marvin.
Right.
Erica Evans, who was running for city attorney, really outdistanced Ann Davison, who's the incumbent city attorney here in Seattle. I was walking up on Broadway last spring, and a young man came to me and said, we have a Republican city attorney. That's the only thing I've ever heard about Ann Davison, is that she's been labeled as a Republican city attorney in the city of Seattle. the person, when I asked him about her performance, really didn't have much to say other than the fact that she was the Republican city attorney. But Erica Evans clearly outdistanced her in the race. And a lot of people like some of the things that Ann Davidson was doing in the city attorney's office. Dionne Foster really outpointed Sarah Nelson in the citywide District 9 race. That was not close. And then Alexa Mercedes Rink, obviously, she beat a number of challengers quite easily. But these newcomers, Foster, Erica Evans, and folks like this really put a punctuation point on this new. How would you describe the view of the incumbents? Because Sarah Nelson also, a lot of people felt that she was doing a good job and also kind of working to keep that city council somewhat moving forward in a very difficult city council to work with.
Right. So again, what you're seeing is that, well, first of all, what's going on, I think, on the national level, national scope, is that we have not just a Republican president, we have a very polarizing Republican president in office. And so you're seeing a lot of these campaigns wherever there are, where you're seeing a lot of progressive actions that are going on there. They're essentially internationalizing it, making it about, hey, are you like a lot of accusations, for example, against Mayor Bruce Harrell? Are you doing enough against Trump and against what happens if ICE comes to your town? What happens if the National Guard comes into your town? And putting, and keeping him on his toes and making sure that he has the answer for these very national issues. But when it comes to local issues, local effects, what are you going to do about homelessness? What's your strategy for more housing, more affordable housing, keeping Seattle affordable? I know that Katie Wilson has great ideas. She has goals, which is also very much a socialist alternative kind of strategy, focusing on the goals, not necessarily on the plan and the logistics. But now we're going to find out if the Seattle vote, your typical Seattle voter, who is now being motivated to be a little bit younger, more income, if you think about it. Because right now, if you are an older Seattleite in your 50s, it's going to be hard, more and more expensive to not just maintain your home, but livability. I don't know what the cost of a latte is, but I know that in the city of Renton, where I live, when the voters voted for a minimum wage, we're looking at a latte at your local Starbucks from $5.89, and I'm talking about dairy, your regular dairy grande, $5.89, almost $7.25.
Well, yeah, Katie Wilson had a very, very popular video of a slice of pizza. She was carrying around a giant $8 slice of artisan pizza, right. and she said that this is indicative of some of the ways that pricing is affecting impacts in our city and affecting citizens in our city. When you're purchasing $8 for pizza, you may not have at the end of the month enough money for rent.
Well, and some of the policies that we have passed in, not only in King County, but especially in Seattle, where, remember, Seattle loves taxing itself. And so that's what's causing the affordability. Also, as we all know, for the ground is literally shifting, as in the ground in Seattle is becoming more expensive per square foot. So the housing affordability, the ability to build more housing is going to get more and more expensive the less effective we are. If, for example, the King County's homeless authority / task force, whatever they're going to call themselves, whoever the CEO is going to be, again, there's so much turnover in that. We are wasting millions in time and dollars in order to build effective housing. And I love it when they talk about the regional approach to housing. The regional approach to housing is shipping housing away from Seattle, and Seattle not dealing specifically with the problem of why homelessness is coming to Seattle specifically. And that's, I think, the tenor of what the council and what the mayor needs to address is the solution is not shipping more homelessness out across the region. It's dealing with, why are you here? What are the issues? What are the conditions to make them understand why keeps happening, and of course, also on residency and services, the cost of those services, how to be more effective with those dollars.
I want to invite Rory O'Sullivan is here with us today, and he's no stranger to Rainier Avenue Radio. He's no stranger to Southeast Seattle, former chair of the 37th District Democrats. He was the leading vote getter for the Senate, and he got that nomination, and obviously he went down to the King County Council, and they selected Senator Rebecca Saldana to become the next senator of the 37th District. That was about 10 years ago. I think we were all involved in that. And Roy certainly has an interesting career as an activist, as an attorney, and someone who's certainly involved in the issues. Thank you so much for being here tonight, my friend.
Yeah, thank you, Juan, for having this show. This is a great opportunity to talk about the issues.
We talked about it earlier, and I said that I was at a number of events this summer. I was at the Fletcher Community Council. That was the events here. The mayor's race sucks the life out of the audience that's there. And we know that obviously it's a very, very interesting race with two opponents who have very, very interesting styles going against each other. And Katie Wilson representing a whole new wave in this campaign. And she did very well in the primary. So you go to those events and the air gets sucked out of the room, those two candidates leave, and then no one really pays attention and follows up on the city attorney's race, which you were running for. And you did not make it out of the primary. You got to see Erica Evans, and you got to see the city attorney, Ann Davidson. And I just want to get your thoughts, and I'm so glad you're here to kind of give us a forecast on that race, because the city attorney's office, as you mentioned this summer, has tremendous impact in regards to how our citizens are protected under the law of the city of Seattle.
Yeah, absolutely. So the city attorney has the ability to shape the budget, to figure out what programs are going to work in terms of community court or diversion programs, how to focus those resources, and really, most importantly, what we're going to do in response to the Trump administration. And so after the primary, I endorsed Erica Evans because I think she's got the experience and the ability to really turn that office around.
Tell us about these two candidates. And obviously you have great experience because you were campaigning against them all summer. Tell us about the unique differences that maybe a voter would have a difficult time kind of seeing between the two.
Yeah, well, so I mean, if you haven't looked at the race, then it might there might not be a lot of difference.
It's Rainier Avenue Radio. Pick up the pen. Marvin Rossett dropped his pen, so we were allowed to pick that up. But go ahead.
Yeah, no. I was just saying that so Ann Davidson has done very little in response to the craziness that we're seeing from the Trump administration. But Erica Evans has talked specifically about how to marshal our resources, how to ensure that we are out of the gate challenging when the Trump administration is denying resources to the city or is taking actions in the city that are putting our community in danger. And so I think she has the experience from being a federal prosecutor. And and honestly, it was really frustrating to see Ann Davidson not really talk about why she wasn't taking action and what the city attorney's office was actually doing.
This summer, and I had both Dion Foster, I had Erica Evans on Juan on Rainier. Obviously, we had you on Juan on Rainier. Not that you're not a young and attractive person, but when you think about these young women who are running, their personalities, and I also had a chance to meet with Katie Wilson for half the show. Katie, little inside joke between the candidate and I, but Foster, Wilson, Evans, even Alexis Mercedes Wink, young, dynamic energy, emotionally intelligent, and it seems like, and Roy helped me with this, it seems like they have a ability to connect with the voting public, especially the younger populations, but even some of the older populations, just with their style and with what they bring as candidates.
Yeah, well, and both Erica and Dion really have compelling stories that they got really good at telling. And Erica often talked about her family background and her grandfather, and Dion Foster talked about the assistance that she'd received from the city and how important city resources can be for folks in the low-income community because of her own experience. So I think the ability to tell that story, not just in terms of what we can do, but how it affected them personally, I think that really did help them connect with voters.
With the success that we're seeing with Mondavi's campaign in New York City tonight, it looks like he will be the next mayor of New York. Waiting on, once again, waiting to see what happens here in Seattle. And I asked you point blank, if you remember when we communicated, I said, are you a progressive Democratic? You said, Juan, I am a progressive, unabashed. And then also, which was what Dion Foster, it is exactly what Erica Evans. It seems to me now that people are standing up and they're feeling very, very confident with where they are as progressives. I mean, really being progressives. Seemed like when 10, 15, 20, 25 years ago, people were trying to still be somewhat at least in touch with the middle, but the middle has definitely shifted in this city. What does it mean to you to see? I saw a picture today of some of people who are supporting Sarah Nelson. What does it mean to you to see the success that these young folks are having, and also that they're not afraid to say, hey, this is what I am?
Yeah. Well, so, I mean, in this city for such a long period of time, in election after election, we've seen a donut on the outside of the city. People who have waterfront views have voted for one group of candidates, and the renters and the people in the middle have voted for another group of candidates. And that has been a pretty consistent. If you go back election after election, you can see this pattern. But what we're seeing now is that the group of candidates in this election has really been able to organize and energize the renters, the young folks, the people who are feeling, I think, the impacts of the affordability crisis. And folks like Katie Wilson who are struggling to pay for daycare, folks like Dion Foster who needed some assistance from the city in order to be able to purchase a home. These are priorities. And we're also, the other piece of this is that I think a lot of folks are coming to the understanding that we need to build so much more housing, and the old priorities of keeping our single family neighborhoods is not working, and it's created an affordability crisis, and there's a new generation of leadership that's going to move that in a different direction.
Roy, you have confused voters like myself, who is a renter with a waterfront view. Will you stay with us for a second? I'm going to bring on a good friend of all of ours, a young lady who was on the city council. She was appointed by the city council last year to serve out the term of Tammy Morales. Actually, no, I'm sorry. That was again. She was. Help me, Marvin. That was Teresa Mosqueda, whose term that she was appointed. Teresa Mosqueda went to King County Council. Then she ran against Alexis Mercedes Rink, and Alexis Mercedes Rink was elected over her to the Seattle City Council. But she is someone who is very active and definitely has a large following in our community. And she is also down here in Southeast Seattle quite a bit. And once again, her name is Tanya Wu. Tanya, welcome.
Hi, Juan. Hi, Rory. Hi, Marvin. It's good to see you. I'm here at Mayor Bruce Harrell's election night party, and the feeling here is very joyous and exciting. So we'll have to see what happens in the next hour or so.
Well, I want to talk to you about a couple of races that I know that you have some interest in, because number one, you ran for one of them, and then number two, you were in the other seat. And first, let's talk about District 2. And it seemed like last spring, I was texting you on the phone, and I was saying, geez, are you going to run for this thing? And then you tell me no. And then I'd look in a newspaper article somewhere, I'd look on the internet, it was like, Tanya was thinking about turning her name in again. But you decided not to run. And Eddie Lynn and Adonis Duckworth, they did. They had a host of candidates running against them down here in this district, which represents us down here in Southeast Seattle, District 2, and parts of the International District. Tell us what you thought of that race coming out of the primary between Adonis and Eddie Lynn in a area that you have experience in.
Yes, and so of course, District 2, South Seattle, is the majority minority district. And when Tammy Morales decided that she wanted to take some time off, both Adonis and Eddie ran to fill that seat until the election. And so while they did not obtain the seat, they are trying right now to hopefully win it. And so it's been very interesting to watch these two races because they were very similar. A lot of people came to me and were like, they are both for and against the same things, and they were very hard to tell apart. They went to a lot of forums, gave the same answers. But I think people will have to see how their background resonates with them. Eddie Lin, of course, is a son of Taiwanese immigrants who moved here about 15 years ago. He also works for the city in the city attorney's office. Whereas we know that Donis Ducksworth works for the city in the Department of Transportation. But he grew up here in South Seattle, so he knows our communities, and he recently just did some kind of outreach for Department of Transportation for their transportation plan last year. And so, I mean, they have both very different experiences, but both have city experiences, different backgrounds, both love South Seattle, have lived here a long time, both have families here and call this place home. And so I think voters have an amazing choice between two great candidates.
Well, they are two great candidates, and they both have spent time with us here on Rainier Avenue Radio, and certainly it's good to see two candidates who actually sort of like each other. I guess it's so different in politics these days, and they didn't. They don't throw heavy punches at each other. They really did a nice job of campaigning and keep the issues not personal. But once again, Tanya, they may say a lot of the same things. They may be similar in a lot of the different issues. But Eddie Lin came out of that primary in August with a substantial margin. What made him connect the voters, and where did Adonis miss?
So like both Eddie and Adonis, while we get to know both of them, have very different backgrounds. And so I think, there are, South Seattle is a bit divided in ways, I think. And one of the hardest communities to get is Columbia City. And so usually we look at Columbia City to see where the election is headed. Not a lot of people vote here. We're the district that does not vote. I mean, was it a super low turnout? And again, we're seeing historic low turnouts for this year's election. And so I think part of it is how do we outreach our communities of color, especially in a time when there's a lot of fearfulness of Trump and his administration, his policies. And I think Eddie, being the son of immigrants, kind of connected in that way to a lot of people here who are afraid of ICE and what the Trump administration might do to many of our communities. I think also, there is that shift as, Trump is in office and is in power, as the city wants to protect a lot of our rights and a lot of our values and issues. And so we're seeing a lot more people who lean progressive or who are kind of lean far left really turning out. And that was the group that's supporting Eddie as well as Adonis. So we'll have to see who comes out for each of them in the next 3 hours.
I want to make sure that Marvin and Roy understand this isn't the Juan Cotto show. This is your community radio station, Rainier Avenue Radio.world. We have three guys who are very familiar with the south end of Seattle. We're talking to a person who's very familiar with the southeast, south end of Seattle. Tanya, a lot of people down here in our neighborhoods feel that the city hasn't been able to connect and get services out here. There's a lot of people who say that the city has neglected certain areas of this district, particularly Rainier Beach in certain areas. And I grew up here on streets that did not have sidewalks, for example. Tell us, when you ran, what were the things that connected with voters that you were trying to get across, and what's the city's responsibility to these people who feel that they're not getting the services that the city should provide?
Well, I think especially for South Seattle, I think it's the major issue is housing. A lot of housing, public safety. Like, for instance, I live here in Rainier Beach. I hear shootings every weekend, and I go to work in Chinatown, international districts, and I hear shootings there. And so it's a little tough. And while many people in South Seattle don't believe we need more policing, we do need more services. We do need more folks on the ground who grew up here, who know our communities, who can connect with our young folks to come out. So I think finding someone who really connects with young people and who has a plan going forward in South Seattle is important. But at the same time, housing is a huge issue. Gentrification, displacement is one of the biggest things I've been hearing about. I mean, I feel like in South Seattle, issues are so different compared to the rest of Seattle, being an all-city council person, that second run, and being a district running for the district seat, my first run. And so I think, Eddie being with the Department of Housing in terms of negotiating city contracts, maybe resonate more voters this time around as well, because we are facing, the comp plan where we decide what Seattle will look like the next 10, 20 years. And that's on top of everybody's minds. And so now with affordability and be able to, most people are renters in the city versus homeowners. And with landlord tenant laws being something we need to tackle, I think that's on the top of a lot of people's minds.
we're expecting Eddie Lynn in about a minute or two, but and if you will kind of wait through that interview, because I want to talk to you about the Alexis Mercedes Rink versus Rachel Savage race. Obviously, Councilmember Rink had a huge advantage, which a lot of incumbents do coming out of primaries like that. Okay, what are your thoughts of that, considering, geez, 12 months ago, that was you in that race?
Oh my gosh, yes. I think that is a tough one because we didn't have a lot of candidates that came out for that. And so with, of course, running against an incumbent is especially hard. And I think a lot of folks wanted to focus on other races. We had the mayoral race, which is really important, while city council is kind of the accountability for the mayor. I think, especially with an all-city seat.
There we go. I think Eddie Lynn is about to join us. So, guys, I want to ask Roy O'Sullivan to stay right here with us, Con, if you'll stay on. And Eddie Lynn, I'm looking at my screen. There he is. He just kind of appeared. Eddie Lynn, how are you, my friend?
I'm doing great. How are y'all doing? Fun to see you there.
We got Roy O'Sullivan here. We have Marvin
Yeah.
Brosette here, touching
Awesome.
bases with you from 4916 Rainier Avenue South. Hey, congratulations on finishing the election season. How you feeling?
Feeling good. Yeah, no, it's been a journey. It's been a long haul. We've had a great race. I've been very excited that we've had a very positive campaign. We didn't have a lot of attack pieces or negative mailers and stuff. So that's been positive. And yeah, just very hopeful, very excited to see the results.
You had a substantial margin coming out of the primary. What was your goal during the general over the last couple of months? Did you try to protect that, or did you guys feel it was really you guys and gals feel it was really important to go out there and connect with people to get the vote out?
I think it's really the latter. I mean, we just kept doing what we were doing in the primary, which was just out talking to and engaging and listening to as many voters as possible, both to share our message, to hear their concerns, and to hopefully, if the results go well, hopefully lay the groundwork so that we can hit the ground running, because we've built these relationships in the community and understand sort of, from the CID down to Rainier Beach, just a whole host of issues.
Tanya Wu obviously ran for this seat 2 years ago, and we were talking about the campaign between you and candidate Duckworth. And, unlike a lot of politics, you guys seem to get along with each other. We're taking vicious shots at each other, which I think is so refreshing in politics. You guys were actually discussing the issues. What were some of the major differences that you think resonated with the voters that you were able to connect on?
Yeah, no, that's again, very thankful that we had a very positive campaign. And, in many ways, we share a lot of similar values. And sometimes voters had a very hard time at forums distinguishing between the two of us. I think there's a couple things that stood out, or that we tried to highlight, the housing experience, with housing affordability, with homelessness being, a top issue. Really, I think people were looking for somebody that has that experience. And I think that's what helped us in the primary. Another big difference is, really talking about public schools and with the Families Education Preschool and Promise Levy, which is on the ballot today. So many of our schools in District 2 get support from the city for wraparound services. And so, really want to be a strong steward of those funds. And, so many of the needs of our youth and our families, the public schools can't do it alone. We really need to be a better collaborator at the city level, and excited to work with, if elected, with whoever's on school board, with a new superintendent, which looks like that might be coming up soon. So those were some of the key themes. And we both support progressive revenue, but I think we were a little bit more louder about the need to fix our upside down tax code.
We talked about the progressives and the candidates who are pretty much openly progressive, and others that slide progressive. And certainly in this race, I think that you were perceived as the more progressive of the two candidates, whatever that means in Seattle. Let me ask you this: for the folks in Southeast Seattle who complain about, geez, the city is like sort of neglecting us not giving us the services that we need, whether it's libraries, whether it's roads, whether it's sidewalks, whether it's housing. What are some of the things that if you are elected, what are some of the first things that we can see? How are you going to build those relationships in District 2, the southeast area of Seattle?
Yeah, and again, getting back to sort of what this campaign has really been all about, it's about meeting with neighbors. It's about already listening to those concerns, specific neighborhood concerns. It's about during the campaign, we met with some neighbors to listen to public safety issues in Rainier Vista. And again, just this past weekend was meeting with neighbors and police Captain Tuttle because there's been gun violence in the Rainier Vista area. So yeah, there's a whole host of issues, and that's just, being super focused on constituent services is going to be a top priority. That and really being a champion for addressing housing costs, affordable housing. Those are, going to be the things that we're going to be working on day one.
Marvin, Rory, any questions for this gentleman?
Well, I just want to note real quickly that whoever wins this race is going to be seated right away as soon as the elections are certified. Councilmember Solomon was appointed, but that means whoever wins this race really has to hit the ground running, even more so than the mayor's race or the citywide races. So it's good to see that we have candidates that are so connected to the community and to be able to do that.
Eddie, I want to kick you off of here. I want you to go back and enjoy your party. Congratulations on finishing an election season. You've got a bunch of people who've run for office before. Take a nice deep breath, enjoy this, and thank your family, and then see what the results say. And we wish you nothing but the best.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much for the coverage and for all you do for our community, getting the word out, sharing critical information about this election. So look forward to talking again soon. Have a good one.
May it turn out the way you want it. On your community radio station, Rainier Avenue Radio.world. We will be back after this brief message.
Host of Star Time, and this is my real voice. Honest, you're hearing it on Rainier Avenue Radio.world. Should have told her you were sorry.
A new law is helping people save more money on prescription drug costs. You may also be able to save with Medicare's Extra Help program. Your premium cost can be zero and your out-of-pocket expenses are low. Who should apply? Single individuals earning less than $23,000 a year, or married couples earning less than $31,000 a year. Even if you don't think you qualify, you should still check out this program. Visit ssa.gov/extrahelp. Medicare costs are covered by the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services.
Greetings. This is your host, DJ Neftali, Rainier Avenue Radio.world, the best DJ in the Seattle area. You can catch me every Monday at 8 p.m. on YouTube. Like I said, this is DJ Neftali, the best reggae in Seattle, Washington, the best radio station, Rainier Avenue Radio.world. Come on, right?
So my doctor told me to go online to check my test results, but I didn't know how to do that. Thankfully, I could turn a link to Care WA for help. With Link to Care WA, I was able to learn how to use online health portals, use telehealth to talk to my doctor virtually, and manage my prescriptions online. I called the hotline and spoke to a real person who taught me the skills I needed. Call Link to Care WA at 866-757-1832 or visit linktocarewa.org.
Hey, Seattle, tune in to Lidline Sports every Monday, 7 p.m. to 8 p.m.
What up, yo? We are back. This is Pep, and the man that don't take no mess, Mr. O-P-I-S, Mr. Stevenson. What say you?
I hope you see the hat that I'm wearing right now. That's how mad I am.
I do. Man, you are angry.
I just want to make that be known.
Tune in to Lidline Sports every Monday, 7 p.m. to 8 p.m.
Lidline Sports.
Get ready. TNT Supermarket, your Asian food destination, is opening Thursday, November 13th at the Linwood Crossroads Shopping Center. Doors open at 9 a.m. Arrive early. The first 300 customers will receive a free $10 TNT gift card, plus more exciting opening offers. From now until November 12th, TNT US members can enter via the TNT app for a chance to win 2 round-trip tickets to Asia with China Airlines. Visit the TNT US website for details. TNT Supermarket opens November 13th, 9 a.m. at the Linwood Crossroads Shopping Center. See you there.
Rainier Avenue Radio is Seattle's best music, talk, and sports station.
Welcome back to Rainier Avenue Radio.world. And we are here with candidates. We are here with former candidates. We're here with former city council members. And we just got done speaking with Eddie Lynn, who's at his campaign celebration. And I know he is probably glad to get that done. Marvin, you wanted to talk about New York City. Tell us about New York City.
We have a wonderful guest coming up. We know we have Andrea Suarez coming on board pretty soon. But I did want to talk about New York City. The nation is watching it. Zoran Mamdani, MSNBC has called it. He is the winner for sure, with 50.4% of the vote. Andrew Cuomo with 41.6%. And all boroughs are reporting. So the Bronx, Mamdani had won the Bronx with 51.5%, Brooklyn with 56.9%, Manhattan 52.6%, and Queens with 47.3%. I think I know what we're probably looking at right now is not just only giving Mamdani a try, but and again, he's not just a fly-by-night politician. He is elected. He came from the state assembly, and he's going against the former governor, who, for all intents and purposes, had met with many challenges before he ran.
Hold that thought, because we want to come back to New York in just 1 second.
Got it.
I want to go back to Tanya Wu really quickly here. And Tanya, thank you for being a good sport, as you always are. I want to talk about Alexis Mercedes-Rink versus Rachel Savage. And tell us, obviously we're hearing about Mamdani in New York City, and the progressives are starting to take a foothold in some of these races. And I think we're going to see some of that across the country. And in about an hour, we'll find out what's going to happen here in Seattle. But if the primaries are an indication, tell us. I guess once again, with somebody who's such a community active person, as an activist, and the things that you've done in your career, things that you represent as an elected official and community public leader, I guess you were kind of like a moderate now. Of course, now that I've gotten over the age of 40, 50, 60, I guess I'm now a moderate as well, or I might be an old conservative after raising kids. But I was wondering, when you look at Alexis Mercedes-Rink and the way she was able to gain distance in your race, and certainly it looks like she's probably going to do this tonight against Rachel Savage. Tell us, tell us about your feelings about this and what you're hearing about in New York City.
Yes, I feel like, with looking at Rachel Savage's campaign, she was like a one-issue candidate. Her issues were public safety and fentanyl and the in-house folks that were on the streets, which unfortunately did not connect with a lot of voters. And I think she knew this going in, with the primary results being so much skewed in Mercedes-Rink's favor. And so as we saw last year, there was a huge turnout with, of course, the progressives here throughout the city. And with Rachel Savage, she comes from a perspective of a small business owner. But right now, our issues kind of encompasses more than just the small business perspective, public safety perspective. We have immigration rights and other things, and losing things like SNAP benefits that are top of mind for many voters. And so I think looking for somebody who will be a lot stronger against Trump is really important to Seattle voters. I've heard Rachel Savage, a Republican leaning, prefers that party. And so I think that's a really tough sell for a lot of Seattleites in this race.
Well, what isn't a tough sell is we know that Tanya Wu will be involved in things here in Southeast Seattle, Central Seattle. She will be involved in a variety of different things around public safety in particular. She will represent all communities as she always has. And we obviously will be reaching out to you again on your community radio station. You're always so good to us, and we really appreciate you, and we appreciate that. And we look forward to seeing you again on one of the shows over here in the future.
Thank you. Thank you for all that you do. I'm so excited and so proud of all the work that you're doing, and I'm excited to watch you for the rest of the night. I'll see you soon.
The Honorable Tanya Wu, thank you so much for being here tonight on your community radio station, Rainier Avenue Radio.world. Marvin Rossette and I are going to turn now to another friend, and she is another dynamic organizer in our community. And it was interesting. I had an opportunity to speak with Katie Wilson today, and as I was talking to her about her career in organizing, and I said to her that, geez, when you speak on Rainier Avenue Radio, you're talking to a lot of people who are activists, and certainly this is a person who's done a number of different things, including running for public office. I want to welcome Andrea Suarez. Andrea, how are you tonight?
Hey, Juan, and hey, Marvin. How you guys doing? I'm actually here at Sarah Nelson's viewing party. There's several dozen people here inside this establishment here in Belltown cheering her on. So we're live. We're happening. I'm outside to take your guys' call. I'm putting my reporter hat on right now.
We appreciate it. We love it. Thank you for being drafted into this.
Well, I had a question. So the neighborhood there in Belltown. I know that Belltown is sometimes a mixed bag of people who are both on the progressive side, yet still moderate and wanting on the type of neighborhoods that they want. How do they feel about where? Obviously, I know there are people. That's where Sarah is, but what's the general feel of the Belltown area when it comes to who they like and what they're looking for in a city council member?
I live in Belltown. I play in Belltown. I work in Belltown. I serve in Belltown. And this is a moderate community. We are pro public safety. We don't want tents and loitering and open air drug activity on our sidewalks. We want businesses to be open. We want tourists to come into our neighborhood. We live here. We are residents. We're full-time residents. We're not renters. There's a lot of condos here. I think there's something like 10,000 condominiums kind of here downtown Belltown that are owners, and that's important. That's an important vote. It's hard to reach that voter, from a doorbell perspective. It's why it's so important to be out here, boots on the ground, and getting people engaged. But, even during the pandemic and still to this day, I would argue that Belltown is the most vibrant, active, happening community in all of Seattle.
Now, so for Dionne Foster, what are your expectations of her if she becomes the next at-large city council member?
Well, right now I'm at Sarah Nelson's viewing party, and I expect her to win. We have to remain positive, and I just hope that Dionne, Sarah, whoever takes office, believes that without the bedrock of public safety, without law enforcement, no progressive policy can be realized. We have to have police on the ground, on the beat, on foot, patrolling and making it safe and equitably accessible for all. Without that, we can't really talk about anything else. We're shoving small businesses through the economic development program into some of these storefronts only to be shut down weeks, months later because it's untenable public safety crisis with the open air drug scene. Now, I have heard in the last 90 days that there have been more arrests. Cops are intervening more. Right from the drug addict's mouth, that there has been a shift in the air, could be related to the election cycle, orders from the mayor, maybe too little too late, but we'll see what happens tonight.
Is there a tenor, speaking of the mayor's race, is there a tenor from Belltown about just exactly how they feel about how the mayor's race is going to go?
I mean, again, his opponent said that she has no answers as to whether or not tents should be in parks. And anybody that knows anything about We Heart Seattle and myself and my crew as an organizer knows we've spent 5 years advocating for clean, safe, equitable parks for all. And Katie Wilson doesn't have a clear answer on that, so that's concerning. But to your point earlier, it's just such about whoever is most against Trump. And that's just so ridiculous because this is about local municipalities, local control. And I don't give a care about Trump. This is about council. It's about mayor. It's about city attorneys, and people locally just don't understand that there is and should be a very strong separation of political power there.
Andrea, we have Victoria Beach sitting right next to you on our screen, so we're gonna. But I want to ask you a couple of questions, and I just say that to give Miss Beach a heads up, and we see you there.
Yeah, I gotta go, guys.
Okay, just one more thing. I just want to talk to you about your perception of Sarah Nelson, and tell us. I mean, you have to take off. Are you going?
I got to go in and support my candidate here today, as Andrea.
Thanks,
Okay.
Andrea.
Thank you so much
coming
for
on
being
board.
here. I'm gonna
No
go.
problem.
Thank you.
Yep. Bye.
Victoria,
Interview.
how are you?
I'm good. How are you?
And where are you at?
I'm down supporting Sarah Nelson.
Very nice. Well, I had an opportunity to speak with candidate Nelson, and I think there was some frustration at the beginning of the general election cycle in early September. Tell us how you feel that she was able to work. I mean, I saw how hard she was working, trying to make up the gap in the primary. Tell us a little about what you saw in September and October, and some of the Sarah Nelson tried to show to her record.
You know what I saw from the primaries, I saw a lot of dirty politics. And I'm not going to go into them, but I think that I think Sarah would not have been behind if things ran in a legit, honest way. But there were people out there sabotaging her, just plain dirty politics. And I know this for a fact. This is not hearsay. And you know, I'm hopeful tonight. I don't think we're going to see what happened in the primaries. Sarah's been out there 24/7, literally out there. And that shows what kind of candidate she is. She really cares. She doesn't have to have people doing her dirty work. She's out there in the trenches doing the work, like she has.
Doing the work, and I think a lot of people would agree with you that she has a pretty decent record.
She does. You know, I'm gonna talk tonight when I go back inside. You know that I've endorsed many candidates for the last 5+ years, and Sarah is the one and only that has walked her talk. The only one who has not changed. She hasn't become a politician, and she's honest. She listens. She's fair, and she cares, and that's what's most important. She really cares.
You have been someone who has been so strong in our community, and when I say our community, I want to say the Black community here in Seattle. You have talked about the importance of public safety. You have helped, and I've seen you at so many graduations of young people. My nephew is now a police officer in the city of Brooklyn, and your commitment to public safety is par none. Tell us your support of Sarah Nelson and the issues around public safety that are so important that you've been working on.
Yes, public safety is my number one concern, and I've been able to talk with Sarah about it, even with our recruits in our program called Before the Badge. She supports SPD, and you know, as you know, Juan, it's been a struggle, you know, because I support SPD just like Sarah does, but we hold them accountable also. And she's part of us getting the right officers in our department. And I think we're going to lose that if this other candidate wins. I really believe in my heart we're not going to have the support that we need. And this city is going to go backwards to 2020. So
Before you go, there's 11 minutes before the ballots have to be turned in. If there's someone sitting here watching us who's choosing between Sarah Nelson and Deion Foster, why would you tell them to go run out the door and put that ballot in the box for Sarah Nelson?
You have to go put that ballot in the box for Sarah Nelson. Listen, whether you like Sarah or not, she's done the work. She has the experience. Her opponent doesn't. And you are going to be telling yourself, I told you so. Why take away something that's already working? This city does not have time to try something else new right now. This is a year that we can't. We have to get Sarah elected again. And I would be the first to say, again, we told you so. You're not going to get the same out of Deion as you get from Sarah. You're not. No way.
Victoria, thank you so much for all you do in the community. Thank you so much for your support and your willingness to jump on with us at RainierAvenueRadio.world. I'm going to invite you to Juan on Rainier, and I will see you shortly. Go support your candidate.
Thank you, Juan. Thank you for all you do. Thank you.
Thank you, Victoria.
Well, there we go. And I was looking to get somebody to fill this next 10-minute segment who was afraid of sharing his opinions, who usually doesn't have an opinion on a variety of different things. I was looking for someone who's really quiet, but instead we have Saul Spady with us.
Oh, man, because you lost my last podcast, and so I have to come back.
We unfortunately lost his last podcast.
But we're both rocking the Sounders. We were at the playoff game last night. That's the clear winner. Is the Sounders.
The Sounders were the clear winner. Even though I just thought there was some, I don't want to go into it.
Oh, there's some bad coaching, but that's
the referee.
Yeah,
but some lackadaisical plays in the injury time in the first half, but the Sounders were able to prevail. But tonight, and I'm going to ask you this. I asked Marvin before we came on the air.
Okay.
As much as we love politics, as much as I love
as much as we do,
I think
we all do. We're all real political nerds here.
I think there are three things that as a Republican and Salt, your friend Clemente Cotto, this was his first ballot.
Yeah, he voted.
We're proud. We are proud of him. I don't know how he voted, but you know what?
No, but
he voted.
That's what's so important. So many people have tried to make it about who you vote for, and I wish we could just take a big leap forward and just have more people engage. You know, I was talking about this with my partner Shakira, who I know you're a big fan of.
Yes.
Washington State, and this would be a great thing for Bob Ferguson to do. I know he's listening, but Bob, why don't we make Washington State a state holiday for elections? No one should be working. We should be nerding out at Rainier Avenue Radio all day. We should be finding our friends, getting them to vote, and we should be that's what we want Washington to be. We should be the civic example for the nation.
I think for a healthy community, there's three things you can do: donate blood, donate blood.
Brought to you by Bloodworks Northwest.
At your blood donor centers at Bloodworks Northwest. If you haven't made a blood donation, it saves lives. It saves up to 2 to 3 lives. So find out more about that. Serve on jury duties. Go to jury duty. Don't get out of jury duty.
Yeah, I try to hide my address.
You've got to do jury duty. You've got to sit.
In the United States, we have such an incredible system of jurisprudence. We should all participate in that. And then the other thing is real simple. Just put your ballot in the mailbox. Vote.
Oh,
and it's free. And it's free.
Oh my goodness!
Oh, you got to say hi.
Here he is, right here. The genesis of the community election connection. Tony B wandering through the your community radio station.
Did you know this? Bruce Harrell's.
Come on over. You got
to come in, Tony. If you're telling us, we gotta
come on, Tony. You got to say hi.
Telling us.
Come in front of this camera.
So let's get over here.
We haven't gotten in trouble, have we yet?
Oh, we're always in trouble.
Okay, good.
Yeah, we kind of got in trouble today.
Oh,
good trouble. Good trouble. No, good trouble.
No,
so I went down to King County elections today.
Yes, I saw you.
And we took a tour.
It was a wonderful tour.
Did you see it?
I did. I watched.
Oh, okay.
I jumped on. So I was thinking maybe if you wanted me to promote some shows, and I was watching. But your interview with Miss Wise was awesome.
Apparently, that was the first time.
Yes.
That I don't want to call it invasive because it's our right to know what happens with our ballots. Exploration had been done in King County. We went everywhere. Point of which we had been talking about. You know, we have a president who spent 4 years saying that there was fraud in the election, particularly with mail-in ballots.
Yes.
And that's not really the case. And with King County elections gave us the opportunity to go from beginning to end, from the time that you send your ballot in through the U.S. mail or through the ballot box to see what happens with it when it gets to King County. We went through that entire process. It's a little different if it comes in through the mail and through the ballot box. And we took a look at that. We saw everything and we went through the sorting machine. I'm happy to say that, good or bad, a lot of this is done by hand, by humans that are examining what's going on. Now, some of it's done, as well by sorters and machines that do this type of thing. But it was really fascinating, and it gives you a feeling. I'm just saying, I grew up in an era, Juan, and I think y'all understand, where the saying was, "It's not who votes that count; it who counts the votes."
Correct.
Correct.
You know what I'm saying?
Oh, absolutely.
And so to be able to see and watch this process where folks can be reassured, because we say your vote counts, your vote matters. It's your vote, and that's cool. So it was really cool.
I want to ask you a question. And you were right. I was surprised. She said, Ms. Wise said that this was the first time that they had media do something like that.
Right.
But tell me, what was the biggest thing you learned today?
The biggest thing that I learned today is that they really do put the time and effort into ensuring that this process is one that is what we say it is, that your vote comes in. They can track the vote, because that's the thing. You have to track the votes, but you have to separate the vote from the signature so that you don't know who voted for what, but you just know you voted or you didn't vote. So they know if you didn't vote as well. But that process, the integrity that they put into ensuring that this process is fair, coming from, remember, we're in different phases of where we are in life, but coming from an era where our votes, there was, not that it's not changed, but there was a lot of suppression and making sure that Black people didn't have the right to vote. Or that even if you do vote, even now, if you go like in Atlanta, they make you line up for 5 hours and you can't get water while you're in line. So these things actually do exist. But this process in King County is one where they want every vote to count. And we went through the process to ensure that that happens to what I think is a good ability. Yeah.
All I'd say back to you, and I share this with so many people, and I'm not a conservative. I'm conservative adjacent, I guess. I am so angry at this anti-election, anti-voting mindset being pushed at a national level. And one of the things I'm proudest about in Washington is for multiple years, I've been able to track down my ballot.
Yeah.
And I literally Google provisional ballot in King County, and then I print out my ballot. And the only place where I'm angry, and I challenge our Secretary of State to go one step further, is DocuSign is good enough. I should be allowed to at least sign for signatures, and maybe I shouldn't have to print it out and it should just go into the system. But we should try to get as many people to vote as possible.
I agree.
And we should honor our state where it is so damn easy to vote. And right before you walked in, I said we should be the first state in America to make Election Day a holiday. Bob Ferguson could do that, and we should encourage just as much civic engagement as possible. We got to be the example in opposition to this illiberalism we're seeing.
Well, I'm gonna agree with you wholeheartedly, and I think that what's going on right now at King County elections would be welcome to that to happen. They want to ensure that everyone's vote counts.
Tony B, I've always wanted to say this to you. We have to go to a break.
Okay. Hey, well, Juan, thanks. And the elections come in at 8. So what happens? Yes. There's a hole in the ballot, right?
Yes.
Do you know what that hole is for? No, I'm just asking if anybody knows. But it's always there, right? If you watch the show, you'll find out what that hole is for. All right.
Guess we'll have to stay tuned.
And at 8 o'clock, what happens? Seriously, is those votes that are being tabulated right now are not on the internet. At 8 o'clock, a button gets pushed. That's when we all find out at the same time all of the votes that are there, which is probably going to about 260, 290,000 right now that we'll find out about. We won't know till Friday, really, when the whole suspected 600.
We're the slowest counters in
Okay, I'm out. Thank y'all.
Just for your knowledge, a man who 15 years ago wanted peanut butter for his holiday gift from you,
yeah,
voted today. 18 years old, and you and Julie talked about the next generation of voting. Clemente Cotto put in his first ballot today.
Awesome. And you know what? And I'm going to stop there. But the thing about it is one of the consistencies, because I asked why 600,000 was the guess for this year, is because consistently in an off election year where there's no presidential election and no two-term election, the numbers are down. But I said, well, so how do you develop your system for getting these numbers? And they say it's pretty consistent, which means consistently young people don't vote more. And I was hoping that with the young folks growing up with what they've gone through, and we hear about the political engagement on campuses and stuff like that, that number would have increased, but we'll see. So same thing time over time. And I'm not saying whether I'm just saying young people don't vote at the level that I think.
If you want to joke, Donald Trump said everyone didn't vote because he wasn't on the ballot anymore. But for those who are keeping count, he'll never be on the ballot again. So,
for the sponsors that Tony has worked so hard to go out and get, we're going to break. So
we love you, sponsors.
Thank you, thank you, sponsors.
We will be back with returns. We'll be back with Jim Buchanan. Yes.
I got to become a sponsor, man. I got to find a way. And I want to be a sponsor.
Atlantic Street Center has been serving the children, youth, and families of the Seattle-King County area since 1910. We partner with families and communities to raise healthy, successful children and youth through services including counseling, early learning, youth development, domestic violence, and education support for school-aged children. Committed to serving the African-American community, Atlantic Street Center provides services and support for all marginalized people. Learn more at AtlanticStreetCenter.org.
Mga kaibigan, ito po si Kuya Bert Kawili.
And this is Miles Salvador from Australia.
And I'm Norb Kawili, also known as Norbcam.
Kung gusto niyo po ang latest news and events from the Philippines at the local Filipino community, Phil-Am Radio po.
We play Filipino music and interview guests from all around the world.
And I'll keep you updated on the latest Seahawks and sports news.
Kaya always tune in, Phil-Am Radio, every Tuesday, 1 to 2:30 p.m. Pacific Time on Rainier Avenue Radio.world.
And in YouTube and Facebook. Salamat po.
A new law is helping people save more money on prescription drug costs. You may also be able to save with Medicare's Extra Help program. Your premium cost can be zero and your out-of-pocket expenses are low. Who should apply? Single individuals earning less than $23,000 a year or married couples earning less than $31,000 a year. Even if you don't think you qualify, you should still check out this program. Visit ssa.gov/extra help. Medicare costs are covered by the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services.
1, 2, get down. What's up, big and little homies? This is Masvita Maraire, host of Seattle Sports Weekly on Rainier Avenue Radio.world, your one-stop shop for Seattle sports. We cover preps, we cover college, we cover pro, we cover it all. Huskies, Mariners, Seahawks, Garfield, South, Roosevelt, Metro, King County. This is what you want to listen to for all the sports that's happening in Seattle. Seattle Sports Weekly on Rainier Avenue Radio.world.
Totally bored? Mindlessly scrolling? Put down your phone and pick up a free youth transit pass. Youth 18 and younger ride for free. Go all the places. Do all the things. Escape the scroll at freeyouthtransitpass.com.
You know you can't get enough of Rainier Avenue Radio.world.
Hi, everybody. Hi, everybody. Welcome to our special coverage, if you will, from Rainier Avenue Radio, your community radio station. Of course,
Yeah,
I'm trying to clip this thing up. We're going to pass this thing around. I know. We're waiting for it. It's just a little bit after 8 o'clock. We were waiting for our local election results statewide, and we're going to definitely talk about some local. Of course, our wonderful host here is Mr. Juan Cotto. We had here Saul Spady, who will be returning with us very shortly. In the corner, in the wings, you got the chance to listen to Mr. Tony B., one of our wonderful founders here at Rainier Avenue Radio. And right next to me, right to my immediate right, we also have a local, well, also one of our friends and a local Columbia City resident, Mr. Michael Wolf. Mr. Michael Wolf also advanced here in local politics, loves sport, and loves transportation. And I know that we're going to talk a little bit about in this partial segment before we cut into the local release of the ballots. I know that we want to talk about some national results. I know, Juan, we had a little bit of housekeeping that you had to go talk about before we cut in, and there's some other stuff coming in right now. But national, I know we were talking about Mondavi. Mondavi had, MSNBC had called it later on earlier this evening, where he had just won just more than 50.4%. All boroughs have reported. Definitely exceeded a lot of expectations. I know that, Michael, you wanted to have a couple comments a little bit about what's going on in New York and how that's actually going to affect us here locally.
I think that, thank you again, Marvin and Juan, for having me tonight.
Absolutely.
I think what we're seeing here today is a repudiation of the Trump administration, right? I mean, anytime you're going to get a very progressive Democratic socialist elected to a major mayoral position that New York City is, I think that is saying something about the current national environment of politics. That coupled with, Spanberger winning in Virginia, the New Jersey government Democrat winning there. Plus, it looks like right now, very early reports have the California Prop 50, which is the redistricting to get more Democratic districts in California, is up 74 to 35. So, but that's 1% reporting. So, whatever, that could go either way at this point. But we're also looking in Virginia. Not only did the governor win, the lieutenant governor win, and the AG is leading. That is very weird for Virginia. And I know this because I lived in DC for 6 years, right adjacent. We are familiar with Virginia politics. Usually Virginia are ticket splitters. They'll vote for a Democrat for governor and a Republican for lieutenant governor. So the Democrats voting down the ballot for more Democratic candidates means that this is definitely a repudiation of the Trump administration.
And I'm glad you mentioned that. I know that MSNBC has, they're talking about these powerhouses now, these very young powerhouses that's going on into the Democratic Party, Mondavi being one of them. And so we're seeing that here in Seattle, where we were talking about earlier before your arrival, where we have a lot of young progressives leaning more towards the DSA / socialist alternative side. That's also being starting to color, if you will, the Democratic Party and the process of how you're going to vote in local elections, not just in Seattle, but regionally. What do we have on that?
I think, as a dad of a 22-year-old who's off in college in the District of Columbia at American University, he voted online, to King County, because King County is progressive and lets, nice kids like that do it. And, my son is a mixed race kid. So we're getting out that very important vote of youth of color, able to vote online, able to cast his ballot from far away while he's at university studying. That drive of young people to vote, I think, is key to the future of this democracy, right? We are talking about, everyone talks about, it's a constitutional crisis, it's a crisis of democracy, and it's true. But I have faith when we look at elections in New York, like Mondavi, when we have Spanberger and the other Democrats running the table in Virginia, we have the New Jersey election coming up for the Democrats. I'm convinced that the more we have reactionary, fascist government in DC, that we are going to see the young people of this world continually reject that politics. I know my son was excited for Mondani, right? Way more than I was. And not that I don't think Mondani was bad. He was good. He's going to be the best candidate because Cuomo is useless.
Okay, I think what's going to happen,
Guys,
if
I may, we're going to go ahead and go to the local results. As Daniel Bella said tonight, it's going to sound like a game show in here, and we'll hear something from King County. Are we ready to see the initial results?
Absolutely.
I love that these young people are into Mamdani, and I've heard this from so many Seattleites. I've heard literally multiple Seattleites tell me that they didn't vote in this election, but they're watching the Mamdani election like it's their lifeblood. It's so cool your son is loving that, but man, I just wish he was excited about the election in his own hometown. Thank God. But you get what I mean? Have you heard that from other people, Michael? It drives me.
Yes, that's what I forgot to
Okay. Oh yeah, no, he started to mail it in though, just so he knows. He had to mail it in.
Well, you can vote online in King County.
Guys.
Hi, everybody. Thank you so much.
Hang on a second. Marvin, thank you. I have Jim Buchanan coming on, but before we do that, have we got any results from King County yet? We do not. Jim Buchanan, so great to see you. Thank you for joining us. And I believe that you are at the campaign headquarters for Mayor Harrell. I wanted to touch bases with you long time. I went to high school with your brotherhood, O'Day High School, Jojo Buchanan. Bless him. I'm thinking about you, and I know that you are a very, very strong supporter of the mayor. Tell us what attracted you to Mayor Harrell's campaign.
Well, I believe in him as a person. I've known him all my life, but, he's the winner, and he's from the community, he's got his pulse on it. So, he's done a lot of great things already, so in order to really accomplish stuff, we need to be consecutively, he needs consecutive support, for us to platform it to the next level, but he's phenomenal.
A lot of people thought that the primaries results were a little bit of a surprise. An incumbent mayor being down as far as he was in the primary election, although that was a much smaller voter turnout. Over the last week, over the last 4 or 5 weeks, we've seen so much of the mayor getting out and sharing his record and things that he's done over the last 4 years. Tell us, how do you feel the mayor did to get his message out, to show the things that he's done, to see if that would get more voters to support it?
Well, primaries, are what they are, but how many teams win the Super Bowl that do well in the preseason game? At the end of the day, the real game started after the primary. So that was just taking a pulse, based on a lot of different variables. So at the end of the day, we'll see in a few minutes.
What was the most important message you felt the mayor needed to get out to gain the support he needed in this general election?
I think he needed to highlight a lot of things that he has already done, and then highlight things that he's currently doing and are going to do. Because he's got a platform and he has plans, and his plans equal what he's already done. And this is bridging into, what he's getting ready to do. So the bottom line, he has a plan, he has plans, and they're effective. So I think he needs to get that message out, to folks, clearly, rather than assuming that they already, have everything added up. I think he did that effectively.
What's the mood right now as people are gathering to support the mayor at his celebration?
Oh, it's extremely positive, uplifting, and exciting.
Well, I really appreciate you taking the time to join us, and I know you wanted to get back and hear the results as they come in. Joe, thank you so much. And like I said, I want to get together with you. Really appreciate all you did and reading all of your comments. And thank you for coming on with us at RainierAvenueRadio.world.
It's my pleasure, and thank you, for what you're doing and what Rainier Avenue Radio is doing. It's incredible.
We appreciate that so much.
Yeah.
Jim
All right,
Buchanan, a big supporter of Mayor Harrell, and he's at his campaign program right now. We are waiting right now for the results to come in from King County headquarters, and we believe we will be one of the first, if not the first, to get these results up when they do come in. So we are waiting right now to hear. I know that Daniel's scrambling behind me, and he's getting ready to put those statistics up as they do come in. And obviously, I think we're all kind of sitting here kind of just with nervous anticipation, kind of like the Sounders last night trying to score one more goal to give us a clear margin of victory over the Loon. The Fighting Loon came in last night, and we were able to take out the Loon last night. And Paul Rothrock from St. Joseph's School, a young man who went to Georgetown University, Paulie Rothrock got the school. And boy, he makes some great decisions with the soccer ball, doesn't he? So do we have any results that we want to show right now?
I think what we have right now, results are still being downloaded. It's around 8:14. We're probably looking at another 5-10 minutes before those are actually coming in.
I've got some.
You've got some?
I think we got some. Here we go. There we go.
Yeah, probably something like that. But it's up here.
Well, here we go for
let's
the.
see.
I've got the King County executive numbers up right now, and this was going to be a much closer race. The media was predicting it. Claudia Balducci, over the last 4 weeks, to anybody that would listen, said she was going to close the gap. And looking at it from the initial results, she has dramatically closed the gap. I have Guilherme Zahale, who is the District 5 King County councilman. He's been on the King County Council since 2018, I believe, in an upset election over Larry Gossett, and Zahale won that campaign. He has got a 2 percentage point lead. He's got 50.07% of the vote.
1.5 points, Juan.
It's 1.5, and this is what happens when you buy cheap glasses. I don't want to blame it on the glasses. It's just what God gave you. 1.5 points is Zahale in the lead right now. That cuts the distance significantly from the primary.
I think
it 100% does. And I think what we're talking about here is with the Zahale Balducci election here is we're talking about a wealth of choices. Either candidate is going to be a good, solid, progressive candidate, right? And so I think what we're looking at is a battle about, a person that looks at Seattle, a person that looks versus the East Side, right? And this is going to be a very close election. I think that both will be great executives. I think we're spoiled for choice in this election, which is decidedly different than what we get in Seattle.
Yeah, and like what Michael is saying, we're looking right now at a Seattle versus everybody else kind of results. So at 48.44, we're looking right now at what you're looking at right now is a lot of Seattle votes that's probably coming in. A lot of your East Side, and probably you're going to see a lot of last-minute voters who are walking those ballots in. Bringing in a little bit of national politics, I know that there was a warning from the Democratic Party to encourage people, walk those ballots in. Do not don't mail them because there could be a delay in your ballots. And I think local voters, specifically King County, are seeing that to heart. You're going to see a lot of people I know come in putting their ballots in at the ballot box. I know, I think I heard reports in Bothell. There's a line at the Bothell Library putting in ballots right now. So you're that's both in covering both, of course, Snohomish and King County. So again, we're and those are East Side voters. And talking to, of course, some friends and colleagues that are there, that is more towards, of course, to advantage Balducci. But if you're coming to the south, you're going to see maybe a little bit advantage to Zahale. So it's still a toss-up. We don't, of course, I think it's safe to say that Seattle. Okay, do we have those numbers?
Hang on just 1 second. I just want to point out Claudia Balducci, the veteran King County Council member from the East Side, former mayor of Bellevue, and someone who's dramatically closed those numbers. Do we have the mayor's numbers up? We do. Here we go. Bruce Harrell.
53.32 versus 46.18. These are a lot tighter than Bruce's original election night opening versus, I believe, Lorena Gonzalez 4 years ago. But it's still, this is his first results, and it is still extremely tight. Michael, what do you think is going on here versus
knowing what I know about Seattle voters, this is going to trend towards Katie Wilson. And Seattle voters, the more progressive, more left-leaning voters tend to vote later. I'm sort of one of those people. I'm sort of one of those people. I went and dropped my ballot off about 3 hours ago. So I just went right over just down the street here to the Rainier Community Center. It was a nice little drop box, and there was a traffic jam. Getting around that traffic circle in the neighborhood right before the drop box took me about 10 minutes. But I think this is going to trend towards Katie Wilson. I think that we're going to have a very interesting long election, and this is going to come down to ballot chasing in another couple of weeks.
But that's interesting. I mean, for a couple of weeks. No, you're absolutely right. But I'm wondering what do you believe? What do you believe that the mayor did? What made the difference? Especially in the last 6 weeks, it seems to me that the mayor really started to get his message out a little bit more.
I think he did get the message out a little bit more, but I also think that we're seeing the sort of typical Seattle trend where the most liberal voters vote in the primary, and you get the sort of normal Democratic Party establishment voters that come out in the general.
Okay.
And so we're seeing a swing in that because of that reason.
Yeah. And I'm going to switch over to Mr. Saul Spady here, because I know that he's got. I know there's something.
You have a different opinion here.
No, not a different opinion. I think Bruce and Katie, and I think of Mamdani a lot here, because Mamdani worked so hard. He had that big primary result, and then literally, he was at Big Poppy's Latin gay bar giving speeches on Saturday night. Katie Wilson rejects a lot of interviews. Katie Wilson doesn't engage with everybody. She wasn't out partying on the longest day of the year, pushing her message. She didn't campaign as hard as Bruce down the stretch. Now, Bruce has this result because he spent 3.5 years not campaigning and not being mayor, and he only started being mayor the last 5 months. But I just want to point out, I don't think Katie campaigned as hard down the stretch.
I would take exception to the Bruce not being mayor as hard for the last 3 years, but we can talk about that on another show. Not tonight. Tonight's about election results. I think one of the things that Bruce's message did get out fairly effectively was the lack of experience of Katie Wilson, and I think that was an effective message. It certainly it showed a distinct difference between the two candidates. And we are looking now at a much closer race than we saw in the primaries, partly because of the makeup of the electorate, primary versus general. And also, I think that Bruce's message was probably more effective than Katie's message.
I'm out here. I'll just say it. I want to believe working hard in elections matter. And I thought Bruce worked harder. I thought Mamdani worked harder than anyone I've seen in America. And that's why he won mayor of New York.
So I think that a certain congresswoman from New York probably laid that path for Mamdani.
And she worked really hard too. That's what, but hard work matters to me. When I see, you can't just anoint yourself like Katie Wilson. She had to work hard.
But I also think Bruce didn't work as hard as Mamdani, right? I don't think Katie Wilson worked as hard as Mamdani.
100%.
If Bruce had worked as hard as Mamdani, this would be 63%. And
I agree.
So I think we have to look at that and look at some of the other structural problems in Seattle in terms of running for office. There's a lot of good candidates out there that just simply don't want to do it. Not only because
it's so much fun.
It's a lot of fun having run for public office before. I know exactly how much fun it is. And I think that there's a lot of structural issues in Seattle. Running for elections is not fun, and so we don't get the highest quality candidates that we could.
Daniel, do we have any other results coming in? We want to take a look at the race here, and we talked to Eddie Lynn earlier for Seattle City Council District 2, your Southeast Seattle, your community radio station, Rainier Avenue Radio, is right here in District 2. And I don't think this is a surprise. I think that Eddie Lynn, and you talk about hard work, and Eddie has been out there, he's been connecting with the voters. And he had a lot of support heading into it. Very, very credible candidate. And he's jumped out to a big lead over Adonis Duckworth, who's a employee of the city of Seattle, analyst there, and really isn't posing much of a challenge to Eddie Lynn at this point. Michael Wolf, you live down here. Tell us.
I do. I think here's the thing. Eddie Lynn, he got a number of very key endorsements for this community. And key elected officials endorsed him, 37 Democrats endorsed him. And while I think Duckworth probably would have made a perfectly fine city council person, Eddie Lynn just, I think, simply worked harder for it, right? And that's the Mandami thing that you're talking about, the hard work, the getting in, doing the hard work,
Knocking on doors, man. It's real.
On doors. You know, I just live, you know, a few blocks away here from Rainier Avenue Radio, and the hanger on my door was an Eddie Lynn hanger. It wasn't a Duckworth hanger, right? And that has something to do with it. You know, as a former chair of 37th District Democrats, it's hard to earn our endorsement. It really is. Marvin would disagree with that statement. It actually is hard to earn our endorsement. And so earning the endorsement, Eddie Lynn earned it prior to the primary. So I think that's indicative of hard work and a good quality candidate for the district.
Do we have any results for the Seattle City Attorney? Oh, no, hang on one second. We'll go to District 8. Not much of a surprise here.
Not at all.
Honestly, Rachel Savage did a little better than I expected.
A little. I think that number will change. I think she'll be lucky to be above 20% by the time of certification.
All right, well, I mean, that goes with the same Bruce thing. If she's at 70%, 17%, Bruce doesn't win.
This is one of those elections brought to you by a particular special interest in Seattle. And Alexis Mercedes Rink, you know, is your typical Seattle City Council member, progressive, left-wing, backed by progressive unions, with no real opposition, because as soon as those progressive unions back someone, you're never going to.
Well, and Rachel, I mean, she didn't even give herself that margin to run as an open Republican in Seattle,
And
where
that's
literally
also very problematic,
15%
but-
of your voters are voted for Trump in Seattle. You don't leave yourself this margin. I enjoy Rachel's fashion. I enjoy her as a person. And I had so many conversations with her where people may disagree with me, but I said, Rachel, run as a pro-growth Democrat, run as an independent, you know, liberal, but you kind of murder yourself in the city of Seattle running as a pure play Republican. It's.
I mean, to be honest, I've been living in Seattle for 21 years now, and I can count on my hands. Actually, I can count on one thumb the number of Republicans.
And Davidson.
I'm kind of hoping the next thing we bring up
is her result.
Let's find out. Let's see what we got for Seattle City Council District 9.
That's pretty expected as well.
And this goes back to the conversations that we were having earlier with Victoria Beach and Andrea Suarez. It looks like Dion Foster at 57.92% will defeat Sarah Nelson and become an at-large district city council member here in Seattle. And Michael, we saw it in the primary, and I am not surprised. Sarah is trailing, although she is thought of favorably in a lot of circles. But
you know, so I have to be a little bit careful here. I've worked with Sarah Nelson in the past, right, on a couple of bills that the organization that I'm employed by had in front of council, and it was an experience.
What do you mean by that? Why was it an experience?
I want to be very careful with what I say here.
It's Rainier Avenue Radio. You don't have to.
No one watches. Come on, Mike.
Come on, Mike.
You know, the normal way a person in a legislative body runs a particular piece of legislation is they talk to the groups that are interested in getting this legislation passed, and then they bring it forward, and then the person who's the prime sponsor of the bill goes and talks to their colleagues in the legislative branch to support, not support, win support of the bill. You don't let the people that want the bill to go to try and get that support for you. It's kind of your job in the legislature as a legislator to whip up the votes to be able to get something through. Not exactly how she works. So that was a little concerning as a resident of Seattle and Seattle voter.
Because all you're looking for with a city council member is engagement and dialogue.
And on the flip side, Dion Foster, who was the executive director of Progress Alliance, built a huge community around some of the ballot issues that Progress Alliance really wanted to form. Dion Foster went out there. You know, I've seen her at least half a dozen times out there on the street gathering signatures for her democracy vouchers, just standing there talking to voters. You know, she, again, hard work, run the campaign. She's going to be a great city council person because she's honest, she knows what she believes in, and she's willing to listen to people. right? And so Deion Foster, I think, is going to actually be a very good city council person, and I'm not surprised by this result either. I think there was so many high negatives for Sarah Nelson coming into this campaign, not only on the issues that she chose to try to champion, but also just she's a very abrasive sort of person. And I don't think that's the kind of politics that Seattle wants.
What does this mean for the Seattle City Council now? There's been so much turnover of this body. And again, it seems like we now have new council members joining new council members.
I mean, we've had a lot of transition in the Seattle City Council because when I look out, and I know, one of the things I'll mention about this election is it kind of shows how Christian Sinderman, a top consultant, was picking sides. And like he kind of hurt Bruce by splitting the coalition that maybe was supporting Bruce.
Give us a Reader's Digest version for that for people who don't follow.
Christian Sinderman is a top
well-paid, by the way.
Well-paid political strategist, both outside of City Hall
by the mayor's office, well-paid,
and within City Hall. He's very famous for defeating Slade Gordon and running Maria Cantwell's campaign. I'd call him like your Pete Carroll. Like he's coached a lot of winners. When he chooses winners, like even with Diane Foster, they win. Yeah. And in this case, he picked a couple different sides, and he probably hurt Bruce by pushing Diane Foster. But I'll make a little comment on Sarah Nelson, and I mean, I'll be very delicate here as well. But, I don't agree with Sarah on everything. I would say I don't even think right and left is correct, but like I had things I wish Sarah would do on homelessness, on density housing, and she wouldn't take a meeting with me. And in theory, I'm supposed to be a Sarah Nelson supporter. But it's really difficult to support somebody that won't meet with you and make that time. And if your opponent, love him or hate him, meets and engages with a lot more people, they're going to win, Michael.
Yeah, and this is why I think you can flip this, and also the same reason that the election for mayor is so close is you have that same dichotomy with Bruce Harrell, right?
He worked his butt off down the stretch.
He did down the stretch, but for the first 3.5 years, it was very hard to get a meeting with him. It was very hard to do anything, right? So it's the same argument.
Preach,
right?
baby.
So, the reality is, and you could say the same thing of our former city councilwoman for this district.
That's why Andrew Lewis lost. He took meetings with everybody, but he told them different things.
Gentlemen, I have to go to a profit center break so Tony B can run this. So why don't we go ahead and do this? We will come back. We will come back and find out what's going on in the city attorney's race. We will also look at some of the local races outside of the city of Seattle. We have a couple state legislative races going on.
Oh man, we got to check in on those. That's okay.
And we're going to do that when we come back on your community radio station, Rainier Avenue Radio.
Radio traffic update. You can listen to us in your car 24/7 anytime by downloading the free TuneIn app. Once you do, search Rainier Avenue Radio, and remember, do not curse out your fellow drivers. This has been your Rainier Avenue Radio traffic update.
Get ready. TNT Supermarket, your Asian food destination, is opening Thursday, November 13th at the Linwood Crossroads Shopping Center. Doors open at 9 a.m. Arrive early. The first 300 customers will receive a free $10 TNT gift card plus more exciting opening offers. From now until November 12th, TNT US members can enter via the TNT app for a chance to win 2 round-trip tickets to Asia with China Airlines. Visit the TNT US website for details. TNT Supermarket opens November 13th, 9 a.m. at the Linwood Crossroads Shopping Center. See you there.
Happy Hump Day. We're excited that you decided to join us for the party. Fresh Juice is live Wednesday night, 9 to 11 p.m. Pacific time on Seattle's Rainier Avenue Radio with the Juice Pack, including me, Superstar TK, Hindsight Patron, and D-Money. We're going to chop it up with some cool people, play some really dope new hip-hop and R&B music, some games, and maybe even a live performance. Lock us in right now on Fresh Juice YouTube page at youtube.com/@FreshJuiceMedia or subscribe to us on Spotify or Apple Music. Fresh Juice and Blue.
Hey Seattle, here are some storage tips to love food, stop waste. Onions make potatoes sprout faster. Keep onions away from potatoes. Ripe bananas give off a gas that makes the fruit around them ripen faster. Store bananas away from other fruits. 40% of food in the U.S. goes uneaten. Save money, save food, save the planet. Visit Seattle Public Utilities for more tips.
Turn up your radio wherever you at. We about to bring it. Street Beat. Yeah. With Tony B.
Tony B will give you a chance to tackle local and international issues that affect your community.
Street Beat. Street Beat. Tony.
Sediment cleanup of the lower Duwamish River has begun. The U.S. Environmental Protection Agency and the members of the Lower Duwamish Waterway Group, which includes King County, the City of Seattle, and Boeing, have begun sediment cleanup of the Lower Duwamish Waterfall Superfund site. This important environmental project will address sediment pollution and help restore the health of the Duwamish River. Starting in the waterway's upper reach, construction activities extend from the South 102nd Street Bridge down straight to the Duwamish Waterway Park. Over the next 3 years, in-water activities will occur from October to February, ending in February 2027. Visit ldwg.org to learn about the upper reach cleanup and sign up for email updates.
You're listening to RainierAvenueRadio.world.
Welcome back to the Community Election Connection on your community radio station, Rainier Avenue Radio.world. We're getting the initial returns from King County Records and Elections. And obviously there is always a little bit of surprise, but in some of these results we've seen, they are following the trends that were set in the primary. One of those is District 2 right here where we are at in Rainier Avenue Radio is headquartered right here in District 2. I received a text from Adonis Duckworth, who I invited, and he said, Juan, here's a statement, please. While tonight's numbers aren't what we hoped for, I'm deeply proud of the campaign we built together. We elevated real issues, safety, affordability, and opportunity that matter to our neighbors. No matter the final result, I'll keep fighting for District 2 and the people who make it home. That's from Adonis Duckworth, who is trailing Eddie Lynn by about 28 percentage points, almost 29 percentage points, to be honest with you. Is it 36? I tell you, okay, 30. Did I say 38? Boy, my math is bad, and it's really well, that's what I get for going to Catholic school.
Juan, Jesuits should educate you just fine. I'm pretty sure you got a pretty good Jesuit education there. So.
I know it was the Brothers of the Christian Order, and I don't think they can count. But here's the Seattle City attorney numbers that we were looking to have, and I don't think this is a surprise whatsoever. We had her on Juan on Rainier early in September. Erica Evans is up 62.54% over Ann Davidson at 37.16%. It looks like we're going to have a new Seattle City attorney, Michael Wolf.
Again, not surprising. It's really hard for a Republican to win in Seattle.
That's since Mark Sidron. You don't remember Mark Sidron.
I mean, Ann Davidson, give it a prop. She did pull it off.
The first Republican to win in the city of Seattle.
You know, COVID AIDS.
Since that.
There was some crazy opponent though. You just got to be sane.
You know, that was a weird election, I think Erica Evans is going to be a great city attorney. I don't have anything negative to say about her, and she ran a great campaign. But again, I think this is more about Ann Davidson and the current political environment and the national environment being very not good for the Republicans.
Should the Seattle City Attorney be an appointed position? I talk to people. No one knows what the Seattle City Attorney does.
I don't have a strong feeling for this one way or another, and because of that, I will default to an elected position.
How about you, Saul Spade?
It's not where the problems in Seattle lie. It's not because the Seattle City Attorney is elected. I mean, this is where I get so frustrated. Whoever wins here, the problems in Seattle lie in trying to blame Donald Trump for everything that's very local. We have addicts on our street because we have the cheapest fentanyl in the country. We're not getting them into rehab they need. We're not building enough housing. I get so angry every single time I drive here, I go past the Othello light rail station, and I think, man, that should be zoned for 20-story buildings. That's a problem. That's not the Seattle City Attorney.
You and I have the same theory on
Right,
that.
you get what I mean? But the Seattle City Attorney holds zero accountability for our problems, in my
Right,
opinion.
and I think when you're talking about
And Ann was great. Ann was great.
prosecutorial position like the Seattle City Attorney is, and the City Attorney's office, you're talking about generally prosecuting misdemeanors. You're not talking about felony crimes, right? Felony crimes end up at the King County Prosecutor's Office. That absolutely should be an elected office because of that nature. But the Seattle City Attorney is generally prosecuting misdemeanor crimes. And, while they're still crimes, they aren't of the serious nature that the King County Prosecutor's Office is dealing with. That being said, the City Council, the City Attorney also is responsible for the laws and legal defense of the city of Seattle, right? And we are the 16th largest city in the nation. So yeah, that probably should be an elected position. It's a position that's going to often be involved in lawsuits, either because we're bringing them against a state or a national government, or we're getting sued by a individual or a group of individuals. And so, this probably should be an elected position because of the complexity of some of the issues that do come before the city attorney.
The more complexity, you would figure that people would have more of an understanding of what the position does.
Well, I think I just summed up the position.
I understand
in 30
that,
seconds, right? So it's not hard to understand that the city attorney is the prosecuting attorney for the city of Seattle, dealing with the felonies that the city of, the misdemeanors that the city of Seattle is allowed to deal with by state law. And also that they are the attorney that represents the city of Seattle when the city of Seattle is sued or when the city of Seattle sues someone, right? And that's a pretty basic explanation, but that's the explanation. It's pretty easy to understand.
It's an attorney. You need one. It's not their fault that we're not picking up the addicts ODing on the street, it turns out.
Here we go with some of the Seattle School Board campaigns. And for Seattle Schools District 2, we have Kathleen Smith with 52.29% of the vote over Sarah Clark with 47.06%. And did we have this debate here at Rainier Avenue Radio? We did have this debate here at Rainier Avenue Radio. I'm not as versed in the schools as I probably should be. Does anybody?
Because your son's almost graduated. So
Mine's in college, so I kind of dropped off the spectrum.
Can I get a little commentary on this and be like a horrible
Yes,
voter? Because I'm not that educated. I don't have kids.
Do that.
Your kid's out. Your kid's almost out. I bring this up to people all the time because my parents are the charter school people.
Yes.
Like their whole life was passing charter schools, and they're very unique because their entire life was parental rights. But it turns out when your kid goes to college, you start worrying about where's he going to live when he comes home. When your kid graduates, you start worrying about whether he's going to do bad drugs in college. Like the school board is a very specific topic, and it's built for people who have kids 6 to 18. And everybody else kind of zones out on it a little.
Here's a result that I am kind of surprised by. This is early. Joe Mizavi, 76.17% over Lisa Marie
Laura Marie Rivera.
And I'm sorry, say it again.
This does not surprise me anymore.
Tell me why not.
As we were just discussing about following school board, right? I haven't been following school board since Kirk graduated from Franklin High School, just right up the road here. We sent him to public school the entire time, from kindergarten all the way through to senior college. He's now a senior at American University in DC, studying international relations, top 10 program. I don't mean to brag, but I'm a proud parent.
No way. You guys are paying for it. Brag.
But you know what? But that is also what is available to students in the Seattle Public Schools. So anyone who wants to come to me and tell me the Seattle Public Schools are bad and you have to send your kids to private school in the city of Seattle, you're just wrong. Period.
Where does that?
As you're talking to a private school guy, right?
Where does that perception come from?
If you decide that,
Where does that perception come from?
You don't have to.
Yeah, totally.
Right. You were saying what?
Where does that perception come from?
Well, I think our experience. So Franklin High School, is just right up here, right in the middle of the Mount Baker neighborhood. The Mount Baker neighborhood is one of the wealthiest neighborhoods in Seattle, predominantly a white neighborhood. That is their neighborhood high school, Franklin High School. How many white people go to Franklin High School?
How many white people go?
6%.
How much?
6%.
6%.
6%. 94% students of right? And it is a school that traditionally graduates 70 to 80% of their students. In addition, about half go on to four-year schools, which for a urban city high school is amazing, right? And if you are the kind of student and parent that spends time in the school and wants to get your kid a good education in that high school, you are going to get it. You're going to get an education that can get you into any school in this nation at that school. Now let's look at
how much is that is dependent upon the parent.
Probably 30% would be my guess. I wasn't in there every day. I was in there once a month, maybe. And that was usually for, he was in the theater. So he was in the theater group. So I went to the show, or there was some other reason I needed to be in there to pay an activity fee or something. But I was not in there as much as most normal parents, as much as some parents, and certainly more than others. And I think it's more of the philosophy that school drives towards success. You're having kids come in from all walks of life, all, immigrant backgrounds, languages spoken at home, free and reduced lunch. There's all sorts of challenges in that school, and that school meets them head on. And they desperately try, and usually succeed, to try to get kids who maybe not reading at the right level, not having math at the right level, getting them to the point where they can graduate on time with all the skills, caught up to all their peers. And they really do succeed at this. And so we look then and we go farther afield from Franklin to, say, Nathan Hale or some of the other, less diverse high schools in this city. And they're all also great schools, right? You do not have to think twice about sending your kid to a Seattle public school.
Well, if your kid's accelerated, they can go to a community college at 16. We have a great Running Start program. That's awesome, right?
Our son did not take part in Running Start and still got into an excellent four-year school. But we're talking about this result here. Let's get back on track.
Right, going back to Lower River.
We're proud of our school system, though.
When you are endorsed by the King County Democrats, 37 District Democrats, 34th District, all the basic District Democrats, plus every elected official in King County, literally every elected official in King County, this is a no-brainer. This was always going to be Vivian Song.
Absolutely right. Vivian Song, Seattle School District 5. She was in Vivian's run for everything, and she'll continue to run for everything. She was in the city council appointment process that we had 2 years ago. It was considered running for that position, dropped, didn't run. She was a Seattle School Board member before. And now it looks like she's going to be on the Seattle School District number 5 now, with a convincing victory over Janice White, as you were saying.
This is not a surprise.
And then School District number 7, Carol Rava, and I liked Carol Rava's yard signs, but she is down. The yard signs aren't helping at 43.49%. Am I the only one that notices the yard signs, by the way?
So School District 7, isn't that this area?
Yeah, that's this area right here.
So here's, again, this is one of those things that I think the school district, as we've started to discuss, we don't keep up with it as much as we used to or ever did. And so this is a low information voter turnout. And so a lot about voters guide, who endorses, is going to be key. And I believe that Jen Lavalley, I believe.
Yeah, you got it.
Again, endorsed by most Democratic Party organizations, endorsed by a lot of high-quality elected officials. This was another race that, when I looked at it, looked as if it was a pretty obvious choice.
Michael, can I say something kind of controversial to you? I mean, you can agree or disagree. It's very nonpartisan controversial. We're not going to really have much input and have feelings about who's going to win outside of endorsements or anything else, as we continue to be the only state in the country that bans political ads on Facebook, Instagram, X, and TikTok. Like, and I know we don't ban it. Like Bob Ferguson, it's not his fault. We're the only state in the country where you can't buy these ads, and it makes it really difficult to get your message out cheaply because mailers are $1 a piece. Radio doesn't work for that race. TV doesn't work. But I could target 80% of that district using Instagram ads if I was a food influencer.
I would argue with you that on the word banned.
Right, of course. Well, because you know the people who banned it.
It may be an effective ban. Because the restriction on,
they've utilized the law, they've utilized the Supreme Court, they've utilized multiple lawsuits by the governor, which sounds a lot like the federal government, by the way, to enforce a business to not allow free speech.
Well, it's
not a ban.
I think it's more of the technology platforms that is social media are just not
that's not true, man. Why are we the only state in the country that can't do it? Like, you're really saying that we're not capable? Washington's right. Every other state in the country that allows those systems to work are bad, and we are the best.
They never said that the system that was in place was right or wrong.
No, I'm just saying, like, we're not capable, really. I can look up the day that Bob Ferguson stopped running his ads. I can look up candidates that are running their ads right now. So, literally, we saw all. This gets me really heated. I apologize, Michael.
The law was written. Is there specific?
It's a 1987 law, and they're not enforcing it on cable companies.
There are specific provisions that have to be met that are difficult for a tech company to meet on an ongoing basis, given the speed at which someone can put up an ad.
Not true at all.
We're gonna get out of the world of we're gonna get out of the world of policy minutia into Senate Joint Resolution.
We can invest stuff.
Number 80.
Is that the one we can invest stuff? Yeah.
And it is approved, or at least approved is leading. And this was the one, Marvin. Yes.
Why are you surprised, Michael? I'm
Marvin. Marvin wanted to make a comment about Senate Joint Resolution number 8201.
Oh, investments.
Are you fumble?
Yes, I'm doing good at that today. So yes,
you're doing great.
I know that my senator, Senator Hasagawa, has been trying to push for this. Where he's been pushing against it. All right, because, and for very good reason.
Well, those numbers are wrong. Is it 52 or is it 62?
62.
No, but the other one says 46.
46.
That doesn't
108.
Yeah, I'm sorry. I'm mathing really fast here as our local advertiser.
Yeah, and
look at that. We'll find out shortly. It might be 50. It might be 5281.
That would make more sense, and that would actually explain Michael being so surprised.
Yeah, it wouldn't surprise you. But again, it's like in this town, depends on what what market we're gonna put it in. What monies are they?
Nvidia. Every dollar into Nvidia.
Crypto.
Right. No, but like I don't want to known crypto. I want to lower. I want to go high. I want to let's do.
Speaking of Ripple funding, Medic One emergency medical systems. Emergency medical services. 79%. Let's do our math here. It looks like this is right. 79.
People like
ambulance.
They want somebody to show up to help the addict who's ODing outside.
Prop one. If you go back to that Prop 1, that the high number was the no. Right now, the result is 70.01 for approve on Prop 1.
That's what it has
in King County. Oh, sorry. I'm looking at King County.
It should be in King County numbers. So they're going to fluctuate a little bit. But right now, Prop 1 is winning. Seattle Prop 1, families education, and
it's a great name. Preschools and promises.
Preschools and promises levy.
Yeah, you can't with preschool and promise. You can't fail at that, man.
Yeah, I mean, the Seattle promise is something that all the way since Jenny Durkin's time. So that they were trying to make sure that this gets up. So
Durkin legacy.
It's been a second. Daniel, can we go ahead and flip through the numbers one more time? Can we see everything again and see where we are at in the mayor's race and the races that
everyone plays higher B&O taxes because no one makes underneath $100,000 in revenue in Seattle.
There we go.
Let's tax our business and more.
Hey, there you go. Michael, you and I are like, if I'm a conservative and you're a liberal and we agree on everything, what are we?
Neither one of us are actually conservatives. We both live in Seattle, so centrist to centrist liberal. You don't have money.
Here we go. Back to the King County executive races.
Has this been updated?
Has this been updated or not? This is the original numbers. They're not updating right now, so go ahead.
Yeah, so these numbers are stuck. Not until tomorrow.
3
We're gonna
p.m.
see- so you're going to see these numbers the way they are. Now, if these numbers back to the mayor's race. if
But
these numbers
let's
stick,
go back real quick. Do you think Balducci has any chance to gain votes?
There is a great chance she's going to, because
So-
remember, mail-in ballots, and also we're talking about people who are going to.
But that
change
goes
the
against
left.
left-leaning. That kind of rule. There's a rule of thumb that the further left-leaning candidate usually gets more votes. If Claudia was gaining votes, that would break some of the rules of thumbs that we've had in elections for
Right
a
now,
while.
but countywide, I mean, like everyone was hedging their bets. They were both like dual endorsing. Unions.
Oh
were
my
like,
God, so many dual endorsements this year.
So many. They wanted.
I endorse everybody. We're all friends with everybody.
Right.
I endorse all candidates.
I'm going back to these numbers. The three of you, is there any surprise that is particular?
Balducci being
Well,
close?
I'm gonna
Balducci being
toss
close?
my mic over to Mike.
Yeah.
because
But
I am
before
a
you
Reds- I'm a
before you
Reds
toss that
person.
mic, before you toss the mic, is the mayor's race a surprise to you, or
It is actually a lot closer than I thought it would be.
You thought Bruce would be further in the lead?
I know. I thought he would probably be a tad bit behind. Oh, let's scoot over here.
Here we go.
No, I thought. I thought not that I'm totally completely pessimistic. I believe that. I know that. I thought of I thought Katie will be a lot closer, but not 46.
Michael?
Maybe 48.
Michael?
I think the Grimet, Zahali, and the Claudia Balducci race is about where I thought it would be. The Seattle mayor's race is surprising to me. I thought Bruce would actually be trailing. The two Seattle props and the King County prop seem like about where they are. And then that race where we see that number, I just looked it up. It really the Senate Joint Resolution 8201, the one to invest the Long-Term Care Act, is actually winning the almost 70% to just under 30%. Is what the number I saw was.
this is one of the things that was percolating in my mind. And tell me if I'm wrong, and obviously I am wrong. But when I look at Dion Foster, when I look at Gurme Zahale, when I look at Erica Evans, when I look at Alexis Mercedes Rink, if I'm voting for them, I'm probably going to vote for Katie Wilson, right?
No.
Not necessarily.
No. I think one of the differences is that in the elections, Alexis Mercedes Rink, you had a not very credible opposition. I think that election is a lot closer if someone from the sort of not as progressive as Alexis Mercedes Rink is, but still progressive, challenged her. Then I think we get a much closer election, because I think there's a body of people in Seattle that aren't pro this sort of very left progressive wing of the Democratic Party.
And then and the same thing, and along with what Michael was saying, you're seeing a lot of Seattle come out, and we cannot. And what we can't do, we can't deny the power of how much Seattle organizing, once they get their stuff together, how much they would dominate that particular vote total.
Sauce Beatty?
I'll just close out with politics is local. When I wanted to meet with Katie Wilson. I tried so hard to meet with her to talk about the things we align on, which is music and high density housing, right? We have things we don't align on. I was able to meet with Bruce and kind of keep that dialogue and connection. And Bruce doesn't have as many things as I align with as Katie, but you have to work hard. For everybody out here who's trying to break it into this Trump election, this conservative election, progressive backlash. You have to have the right alignment, but work harder than your opponent. And I think Bruce put in a lot of work down the stretch. Katie didn't take as many meetings, and she's going to be sweating it now because she had a lead and she blew it.
Well, once again, this is only the beginning here. The numbers come in early, as it was said earlier. At 3:00 tomorrow, King County will produce its second set of numbers, and then we'll be watching this for a considerable period of time. So we want to say thank you so much for all of our guests that called in tonight. Thank you so much. Thanks to Michael and Marvin and Saul for coming in and making this an enjoyable program, and your knowledge and your opinions and your wisdom is always so well taken. So on your community radio station, Rainier Avenue Radio.world, we say thank you for spending a little time with us this evening. Thank you for voting, and we will be back as your community election connection. So long, and see you next time.